Today, investigators in Boulder, Colorado are trying to figure out what led to a fiery mid-air collision over the weekend that left 3 people dead. As tragic as it was, 3 more people could have died if not for the quick thinking of their pilot. We're going to talk to him and his 2 passengers in just a moment. But first, here's NBC's Lee Cowan.
When Brandy Hepburn and her son Javen were strapped into the cockpit of a glider near Boulder, Colorado Saturday, they thought they were going for the ride of their life. Turns out, it was almost their last. The Piper Pawnee that towed their glider up to altitude was piloted by 25-year-old Alex Gilmer. Photos that day show it was a serene view, but at just over 8,000 feet, trouble.
We heard a boom, and we immediately saw 2 flames.
Witnesses looked up to see an airplane plummeting back to Earth in front of a trail of black smoke. 911 calls started pouring in.
Yeah, we just saw a plane crash or something. It exploded in the air.
The NTSB says the wreckage everyone saw was what was left of this plane, a Cirrus SR-20. On board, brothers Mark and Bob Matthews. Investigators believe they somehow had flown straight into Alex Gilmer's tow plane, the one with that glider tied behind it. Gilmer and the 2 Matthews brothers all died. The 3 planes were on a collision course. Miraculously, though, the glider's pilot, Reuben Backer, had a few extra seconds of warning. He saw the collision was imminent. Backer quickly unhooked the glider's tether with not a second to spare and flew right through the collision's fireball that could have just as easily claimed him and his 2 passengers.
I would say that they are very lucky. I hate to quantify something and not be factual, but they are very lucky.
Backer's glider, with Brandy and Javen on board, landed safely, only to learn the fate of the other 2 planes. Wreckage was scattered for more than 1.5 miles. The cause of the collision, still a mystery. For today, Lee Cowan, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Glider pilot Reuben Backer and his passengers Brandy Hepburn and Javen McDonald are here to speak out for the very first time. Good morning, everybody. And I really feel like it's a miracle that you all are alive, and actually great work on your part. Reuben, take us back to that moment on Saturday. You are piloting the glider. Brandy and her son are in it with you. You're at about 8,000 feet, heading up to 10,000. You actually spot another glider with Brandy's daughter in it. You say to her, "Oh, look, there's your daughter."
Yep, that was over to the left. We pointed it out.
And then what happened?
And then we actually noted another plane just off to the right. We'll kind of just, I was seeing things as we're going along. We're doing like 70 miles an hour, 200 feet behind the tow plane. And suddenly I saw a plane to the right. Looked like it was going to hit us. So I reached for the tow release, which is just right here. I reached, by the time my hand was on it, it actually collided straight on the right side of my tow plane. So
you are still attached to the tow plane at that point?
Yeah, this happened really fast. I mean, I don't know how fast the other plane was going, but it came straight on the side. The time it took for my hand to go from here to there, they had already hit. The wings folded up on the tow plane, and then it was instant. It was a huge fireball. I wasn't sure if I was released yet because it was really quick. I pitched back, banked to the right, and we just flew straight through fire. I didn't see the wreckage anymore because it was gone, because everything was red. And
Brandy, what is going through your mind at that point? Because you did you see the impact as well?
I did. No. I was horrified. I felt the heat on my forehead as we flew through the flames, and it's just watching it fall to the ground, knowing that I don't think that anybody made it. I was horrified.
And Javen, I understand you thought at first this can't be real.
Yeah, I thought it was some sort of test run, like if training pilots knew what they would do if they had gotten a crash. And I kind of hoped that happened too.
And then when you realized that it was real?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm sure everything is just, seconds must feel like minutes or hours to at that point. You're at 8,000, and you told me in the break before we actually started the interview that you really should be at 10,000, so that it was risky even to try to bring the glider in at 8.
Right, that's not a place that you would release. We don't release there anyways. That's just the path we take to get up to just behind Boulder, and 10.6 is a safe altitude for this ride, and we were just on our way up there. So, you know, I mean, I did have enough time after we came back around and we flew through the smoke. I actually made the mayday, and told them that the tow plane just got taken out by Cirrus, and everyone else was so much in shock that I had to say it a couple of times.
It must have been very emotional when you finally got back onto the ground, Brandy, to be with your family again, because this started as just a lovely outing for a friend's birthday.
Right. My mom was on the ground, and she knew that Javen and I were in a glider, and my daughter and her friend were in her glider. There was 3 gliders in the air, and they could only see 2. She was horrified.
Do you credit this man with the fact that you and your son are alive?
Absolutely. Yeah, if it would have been another pilot, I don't know that we'd be here.
And were you just instinct took over, Ruben? Is that what it was?
It really was. I mean, from when I saw the plane to when it was a fireball would have been less than 2 seconds. And, you know, the time it takes to move a hand is when I see to when it was fire. That doesn't, you can't think. You just have to know.
You just have to react from all your training as a pilot. The 3 other people did lose their lives, the 2 gentlemen in the Cirrus, and then the pilot of the tow plane, Alex Gilmar. And you had sort of almost in retrospect, an eerie conversation with him the day before about safety.
Right. Yeah, because, you know, the weather wasn't ideal in the morning. We waited a little bit, you know, and I asked him, I says, what do you think? He's like, you know what, as the weather was looking nicer. He's like, I think it's definitely safe, but I don't know if it's the best choice for, you know, having a paying customer for, you know, a scenic trip. But safety-wise, he's like, Ruben, it's fine. I asked him, because he went up first, and I said, how's the ride? And he's like, dead smooth, it's going to be great. I'm like, well, thanks, you know. And then he hopped in his tow plane, and we hooked up, and off we went.
Well, we're so glad that you're alive, Ruben. So glad you're the pilot that you are, Brandy and Javen as well. I'm glad you're back and safe.
Us too.